My name's Thomas. This is my wife, Nicole, and we are the Blige family.
I grew up in church. That was like where we were every Sunday. My parents divorced when I was 5, so we moved down to Georgia, and me and my mom lived together for quite some time, just me and her. She finally met my stepdad. Everything seemed like it was, we were our own little family unit, and everything seemed good. But when I was 13 years old, my stepdad ended up molesting me. I kept it very closed in. But my mom, we spent a lot of time together in the car, and she knew. She ended up confronting him, and he admitted to it. And of course, we were very in the church, so my mom immediately went to the pastor. Consensus was to put him through therapy. Probably about a year or so later, it happened again. And it happened several times from the time I was 13 till about 16 years old. Finally, when I was 18, one more incident happened, and I was like, well, you know what? I don't want to live here anymore. I just basically house hopped from whoever I could. I was hanging out with people that were we were going into stores, and we were hungry, we needed food. Literally we were eating just ramen. And they were stealing it. And it got to a point where it was okay, this is kind of scary. I went to the strip club with a couple of friends that night, and just people with their own money, and it was just wow, this is it. This is all I have to do.
My dad had his own automotive business. I just remember tinkering around there. Growing up, I was walking on eggshells because my dad's a cop. I remember being in and out of church one specific Sunday in altar call, and it was just I couldn't explain it. But Jesus finally showed me who he was. I was supposed to go to LaGrange, play some football, but ended up not passing the SAT scores required to get in. So I decided I would try to walk on at Georgia Southern. Basically flunked out. After that, I spent a few months here in Richmond Hill, helping my dad out.
So I went to this new club. That's where I met Taja's dad at. We were working at the same, because he was a bouncer there. When I was about 6 months pregnant, he ended up cheating on me with his ex-wife. It put a whole new mix on things, because my mom, of course, was this is her first grandbaby, and she wants something to do with him, and it's either Tage or him, my stepdad. You have to choose, because you're not gonna have both. She ended up divorcing him and telling him to get out, and once he left, she was just so in love with Tage. She helped out. I came clean to her about everything, that I was a dancer, that just anytime I'd ever wronged her, I just confessed everything. I wanted to start working out and just getting out the house, just doing something. So I started working out, and I was going to the gym. You came over to me though, I'm pretty sure, and
yeah.
You were just
well, I'd seen you there a few times before.
Thought that I looked familiar.
I went up to her and I was like, do I know you from somewhere? Where do I know you from? Are you from Richmond Hill? No, I'm not from Richmond Hill. She was like, well, and I was like, bruh, I know exactly who you are.
It was obvious, hey, I like you. I like being around you. I could tell he was attractive, but it wasn't he wasn't too forceful.
I was partying every weekend, hanging out with the crew I was hanging out with. It was I was in a routine. I was just in a rut. I just moved to North Carolina, going to school. Yes, I'm about to, I'm going to car school. So just something I can actually apply myself with. Get serious about life, finally. So, all right, well, Nicole's going to come up at least once a month. She comes up and visits in September, and everything's going good. I was about to go to bed. I remember laying down. I remember which way I was facing and everything. She was like, Thomas, I gotta tell you something. And as soon as she said that, I already knew because I've seen all the movies. So, I need to tell you something. And I was like, bruh. She was like, I'm pregnant. Because had it not been for us having Uriah, we probably wouldn't be a connection.
Yeah.
I'd probably be in North Carolina right now. I had a couple of job offers on a couple of race teams. They were like, yeah, you can come here. And then if I were to come back home, I didn't really have anything lined up. Decided to have Uriah. And at that point, it was just kind of you can come up here because you started school. Because you can come up here, finish school, and we'll just push through it. The whole support system, we didn't have anybody up there, so we decided to come back home. When I moved back and we got our own place, I was like, yeah, we need to tighten up. I'm feeling convicted about the way I'm living. Even though we have our own place, we're having to sneak around the kids about smoking. It was like the first or second Sunday we had gone. My sister Kayla gave him her testimony video, like a piece of it. It was almost like seeing a different side of Kayla, because all that stuff that she had been going through, like we were living under the same roof and I had no clue. So when we left on the way home, she was just like pumped the whole time. I remember that too. And then we went through like the whole process of them saying like planning a new church in Savannah. So we went a couple times. We went to karate school. At this time, we're still like in and out, like not
Still dancing.
Yeah.
Still smoking occasionally, like half in, half out. I told him, I'm like, I can't keep dancing and keep coming into this church. Like I can't do it. Like, but it was like, well, how are we gonna survive? Like, which he was working, but we were so used to that income. It was like, what's gonna happen? How much does God expect us to have faith? We're living in sin, just knowingly, blatantly. And that conviction was just like, we can't keep doing this.
One of my friends is like really big into music. So he was, at this point, like it's half of the group, it's like 4 of them are living in Kansas. So the guys that were still here, me and 2 other guys, we flew out there. So we were just sitting in somebody's car. Some of us were, and a couple other people were out like in the grass area. Next thing you know, cops pull up. At this point, like I'm asleep in the front seat of the car. Pulled me aside and talked to me, and he was like, we know you're not the driver of the car, but we found this underneath the seat. At that point, we're like, you're under arrest. You won't say anything. I was like, bro, that's not my car. I don't know whose it is. So kept it hushed for about 6 months. So I'd already gotten a lawyer, talked to him about everything I needed to do. And he was like, pay this amount and you won't have to come out here. So at the end of it all, it was about $7,000. Nicole was still dancing, but she was at a different club. The morning she came and woke me up.
I didn't even want to wake him up.
I need you to count the money. And I was like, all right. I counted the money, it was $7,000.
I never brought that kind of money home in one night. Literally, a guy came in and just wanted me to sit with him the whole night. I didn't have to dance. I just basically got handed $7,000, like, and I feel like that was God's way of saying, here, like, be done.
Got married, said I do, I kissed. First Easter was like the first set of baptisms, and I was like I want to get baptized. Mm-hmm. She agreed, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Even though like I was dancing and I felt like, like God has loved me throughout this whole time, even though I felt like he wasn't there, like he was there. Like that's the voice that I've been suppressing this whole time. And I never looked at it like that. His blessing is not on us based on what we do or don't do. He just gives us grace and mercy, totally not dependent on what we do. It's not about just like praying and going to church and like looking good. Like it's about a relationship with God.
So it's just nice to see and look back on what God has brought us through, and starting it off with bringing us together, and how he did that. Like it still blows my mind, and being a part of Connection has just been a blessing. We've grown spiritually and as a family. We can't do anything but give God glory.